Strong words right there from our Week 4 matchup of the week. Victor, Mr. Bud Ahern, who apparently thinks he's never going to lose again. Welcome to the Week 5 League of Legends Fantasy Football Predictions. My name, of course, is Drew Garino, here to bring you a special Wednesday edition of the League of Legends Pick'em. There's some travel situations that I have to take care of, some meetings that I need to attend, some babies to kiss. On with the action. Let's first let you know that Ryan Ahern is in sole possession of first place, so congratulations to him. He has a record of 4-0 this year. Will he stay there is the question. Let's find out in the Week 5 matchups. First, looking at Sean and Dave. Both gentlemen come in with a record of 1-3. Looking at Sean's team, a guy that I love this week, Justin Forsett, had a strong week last week against Pittsburgh. He unfortunately was on Sean's bench for him, but as Sean would tell you, he wanted to see Justin Forsett have a strong game before he was able to reinsert him into the lineup, and that week is this week. He is playing at home against Cleveland. Steve Smith is banged up, so all green light things for Justin Forsett at home. Looking at the downside, Amari Cooper versus Denver had a strong start to the season. For me, it's a little worrisome to see Talib back there, Chris Harris. I don't think he's going to find the end zone, which is why I'm putting in the down category. I like a lot of the guys on Sean's roster this week, but Amari Cooper, for me, I'm just going to project that he will not score a touchdown. So that's why I'm putting him in the down category. Looking at Dave, the guy that we haven't mentioned in the up category at all this year, who's on pace for a monstrous season per usual, is Tom Brady, of course. He's playing on the road against Dallas. Very banged up secondary right now. A lot of holes back there. Coming off a bye week, you got to love the Patriots' ability to game plan for specific teams. Dallas, of course, is coming off 2 tough losses now with Tony Romo out of the lineup. So Tom Brady is in line for a very large game with at least 3 touchdowns thrown in this Sunday's matchup. Looking in the downside of things, Willie Snead is at Philadelphia this week. Who is Willie Snead, you may ask? He is a slot receiver for the New Orleans Saints. Actually been pretty good the last couple of weeks. He's been seeing a rise in targets. He's moving up the depth chart. He's past Colston and Coleman. But this week for me, I just don't think he's going to give you the volume that you need for that flex position. So Willie Snead, I like the player, but I don't think he's going to give you enough points that Dave will need to keep pace with Sean. And for that reason, I am actually going to go with Sean to win this one and get his second win of the season. Next matchup we want to look at here is Dennis, who comes in with a record of 2-2, versus Bud, who apparently will never lose again, with a record of 3-1. Looking at Dennis's roster, I like Larry Fitzgerald at Detroit. Granted, I've been a little slow on Larry Fitzgerald. I did not have high hopes for him coming into this season, but with the resurgence of Carson Palmer, the way the Arizona offense has looked, Larry Fitzgerald for me is a must-start at this point in the season, and he is playing at Detroit, so that's a fantastic matchup for him to do some big-time damage on Sunday. Looking at the downside of things, I don't like Darren Sproles this week. I do like the fact that he's playing against his old team. However, DeMarco Murray appears to be back in the lineup. I just think it's a cloudy backfield situation. I know Adrian Peterson is on a bye for Dennis, so he's really has no choice. But for me, Darren Sproles is a guy that I don't like this week. Looking at Bud's team, another Patriot, as I mentioned with Dave's team, Julian Edelman at Dallas appears to have a number of targets, a number of receptions. I like for him over the middle to catch a number of passes this week. Julian Edelman will have another monster performance. He's had at least 10 catches in every game that he's played this year, which is really incredible. He just does it all for the Patriots. A guy I'm on the downside of is John Brown at Detroit. Now, again, the matchup is great. We just talked about it with Larry Fitzgerald. The reason why I don't like John Brown is because, again, kind of like Willie Snead, I don't think he's going to find the end zone on Sunday. He needs to start scoring touchdowns. He's gotten the volume. He needs to translate that into touchdowns. Maybe this is the week where it will happen, but looking at Bud's roster, I don't like a lot of the guys in terms of a down category. So for me, John Brown is the one that I would select to be in that category. But looking at it as a whole, I like Bud to win, to move to 4-1, just like his song said. Apparently, he keeps winning. Looking at the next matchup, we have 4-0 undefeated Ryan squaring off against Adam, who is 3-1 off a couple of impressive wins in the last few weeks. Looking at Ryan's team, he was thrilled to see Todd Gurley come through, specifically in the second half of that Week 4 matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. This week, Todd Gurley is at Green Bay. Again, a very beatable run defense. I like for Todd Gurley to have a good game. They could end up being down in that game very early. However, I think Gurley all the way through will continue to see consistent touches, and for me, that's why I'm putting him in my up category. Looking on the downside, Andre Ellington is a guy who's coming off an injury. He did not play last week. I thought maybe he would be able to go. Turns out he wasn't. He is also playing at Detroit. We've looked at 3 Cardinals already in this segment. Andre Ellington, for me, is a guy that is just recovering from that injury. He plans to split carries with Chris Johnson and David Johnson in that Arizona backfield, so I don't like the situation there. I think Andre Ellington is not going to give you the points that you need to be successful this week. Looking at Adam's team, a guy that is really having a career year, unlike last year where he was just awful, and I know this for a fact because he was on my team. Keenan Allen versus Pittsburgh in the Monday Night Football game. Certainly a great start for him. We all know the Pittsburgh secondary isn't fantastic. Keenan Allen appears to see a lot of targets. I think he's going to find the end zone against Pittsburgh in that Monday night game, which could turn into a shootout pretty quickly. Looking at the downs category, Adam has really been in flux in that quarterback position. This week he's going back to Sam Bradford, who he reacquired off waivers this week. He is at home against New Orleans. Certainly Bradford started to show some signs of life last week, but for me, it's just so anemic right now in Philadelphia. You just don't know what kind of team is going to show up on Sunday. So Sam Bradford, I don't really know what to expect out of him. So that's why I'm going to put him in the down category. However, looking at this as a whole, I am going to take Ryan to move to 5-0. I think he's got enough in the arsenal here to make it to 5-0 and take a victory away from Adam. The reason why I'm not picking Adam, I don't love the wide receiver selections. Kamar Aiken was a Patriots special team player like 5 years ago, so there's that. But I'm going to go with Ryan to move to 5-0 this week with a victory. Now we're going to look at myself, 2-2, versus Cam, who comes in with a record of 3-1 off of his first loss of the season last week. For myself, I started Arian Foster last week, didn't quite work out as they got killed by the Atlanta Falcons, but this week's a different story. They're playing at home against Indianapolis on the Thursday night football game, so I love the opportunity for Arian Foster to be involved in this game early and often. I think they will use him a lot as they try to control the clock, keep Andrew Luck off the field. So this is going to be the game where Arian Foster really finally comes through and makes it worthwhile in terms of keeping him on my bench for a number of weeks. Looking at the downside, for me, it's Frank Gore, and really it's just the eyeball test because I've seen Frank Gore now twice fumble the ball really when no one's touching him. I don't think he's ever had fumbling problems with the San Francisco 49ers, so I really don't know where this is coming from, but he cannot hang on to the football. And for me, that's reason enough alone to put him in the down category. He has a favorable matchup. Andrew Luck's banged up. I understand all of those things, but I'm sick of him fumbling the ball, so he's going in the doghouse. He's going in the down category. Looking at Cam's team, a guy who's had a couple of monster weeks in a row after I put him in the down category a couple of weeks ago, is Jeremy Maclin. He is at home against Chicago. Again, very beatable matchup in terms of their secondary. I love his ability to catch the ball and run after the catch. That's exactly what the Chiefs need. Alex Smith has really never had a receiver like this. Mark my words, this could be the week that Jeremy Maclin finds the end zone for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now on the downside, I'm going to stay right with the same team and look at Travis Kelce, who is also playing against Chicago. Travis Kelce has really been invisible the last few weeks. I don't understand why the Chiefs don't try to use him. He's a miniature Gronk, and by miniature I don't mean by size, because Travis Kelce's got some size. He's got some skills. They should be throwing him the football, but for whatever reason, Alex Smith is not capable enough of getting it to him. They're not calling the correct plays. For me, he's not going to have a great week again because they just don't utilize him the way that they should. But looking at this roster as a whole, there's a lot of holes on Cam's team, so it's tough to make a judgment call now. Just based off what I see, he didn't pick up many guys off waivers today. Certainly he's going to make more moves as we get closer to Sunday and the action for Week 5. But I will take myself, because of the uncertainty on Cam's roster, to get the third win of the season and for Cam to fall to 3-2. Now we bring you to the matchup of the week, which is a little bit different this week. We're going to go with 0-4 Bill versus 1-3 Steve. Ugh, just a horrible matchup on paper. Or is it? First, looking at Bill's team, I'm going to look at the up category in Dion Lewis, again coming off a bye. I like anybody starting against the Dallas defense at this point. They're on the road. They're coming off the bye. Dion Lewis continues to be involved in catching passes out of the backfield. Dion Lewis, for me, is an automatic money start, excellent running back, and I like him again this week. in Dallas. A guy I am down on is a former Dallas running back, DeMarco Murray, who is playing against New Orleans at home this week. He's coming off the injury. Again, the offense in Philly is so anemic. We really just don't know what to expect out of them. So for me, DeMarco Murray, I just don't know how I feel about him. I think he could be good. He's certainly capable. He had certainly a quote last week that indicated that he feels like he should be getting the ball more, but who knows what's going on in Chip Kelly's head. Nobody has any idea what's happening there. So for me, DeMarco Murray, until these things change, until Chip Kelly gets his stuff together, until Sam Bradford gets going, I can't have a vote of confidence in DeMarco Murray at this point. Looking at Steve's team, he's going to welcome back, thankfully, Alshon Jeffrey versus Kansas City. I love Jay Cutler's performance last week. Hate the player, hate the guy, but he actually had a good game last week for the Bears. So with Jay Cutler back at the helm, Alshon Jeffrey certainly is going to benefit from that. It's a winnable, beatable matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs secondary. So big week this week expected for Alshon Jeffrey, who's coming off the hamstring injury. A guy that I'm down on this week, even though he has a favorable matchup, Melvin Gordon versus Pittsburgh. I feel like it's almost a situation like Sean and Forsett, where you have to bench the player, see if he has a good game, and then insert him to the lineup, because we haven't seen that good game out of Melvin Gordon. He's certainly a high draft pick, has a lot of talent. Maybe it's going to be one of those things where he's acclimating himself to the game and it's going to come later on in the season. But for me right now, Melvin Gordon's a guy that I need to see him have one good game, and then I'll start feeling better about it. And I just don't think this is the week for Melvin Gordon in Pittsburgh. However, looking at the roster, I am going to take Bill to win his first game of the season, moving to 1-4 on the season, tying him with Steve for last place in the League of Legends. Now, that's what I think. Again, we always value your feedback. We hope that you enjoy this. I know it's one day early, so again, my apologies for that, but otherwise, enjoy the action this weekend and little winning to send you away.